Dr. Mystery?
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite. Sharing love in the metazone, lighting the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 10, How Humans Belong in Nature. Let's start with the beautiful quote that you highlight at the beginning of chapter 10 about love.
Yeah, sure, it's from Brené Brown, and she says we are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love and to belong. We are designed for love. And we're designed for belonging. And that to me was a very insightful statement that she made. It's true. It's only when we are loving, when we love the earth, when we love others, that we feel happiest.
When we feel that love, we feel included. We feel that we belong. And that goes back to Dr. Rao, how do humans belong in nature?
Yeah, and that's the entire subject of this chapter. We begin by noticing that our superpower is that we can start fires, okay, at any time. So we can start fires. We started fires by, rubbing two stones initially. And the original fires that we started are still burning, right? So we have just taken that and we continued that with matchsticks and all kinds of things. But it's ultimately starting fires is our superpower. And you observe what we have done over the last 10,000 years is that we have maintained the temperature on Earth. So the Holocene era is supposedly this remarkable era where temperatures stayed constant. Professor William Ruddiman pointed out the temperature stayed constant because of human beings starting fires and burning down forests. And, all that increased the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, made it stay constant at 280 parts per million. And that's how we stabilized the temperature. Our ancestors did that. And then over the last 200 years, we have used science to come up with technologies. And with that technology, we are now able to measure. We are able to now recreate the past. So we understand that this is really what happened. And we have increased the temperature now by 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. And now there are signals from nature saying, danger, danger, danger. Don't go any further. So we are being called to restore the temperature back to what it was 200 years ago, because we know in the system that was a stable state. Because we were able to maintain it for 10,000 years without doing much, So it's a stable state, so we should be able to bring the temperature back to that setting and stabilize it and maintain it there forever. So we belong as the thermostat species of the planet. It's our job to create homeostasis for planet Earth and maintain that homeostasis. Okay, that's our superpower. That's our role. That's how we belong in nature. It's a conclusion you draw just from the data and the science. Now that we know that we can impact the life support systems of the planet, we have no choice but to stabilize the life support systems of the planet and maintain them forever. Okay, so we are like technicians who have to maintain something. We are the maintenance man. The maintenance species of the planet, right? So it's not the boss of the planet. It's not an underling of the planet. No, you have a role to play, just like the elephant has a role to play.
That goes kind of into and you highlight this in chapter 10, the true meaning of Homo sapien.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
The true meaning of Homo sapiens is the wise hominid. Okay. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to make sense of knowledge and adapt accordingly. A wise species will understand that we have a role to play and we have to now transform ourselves, transform our civilization, organize around fulfilling that role. So that's what a wise species would do. And I've never met a wise person going around saying, look, I'm so wise.
So true.
To me, calling ourselves Homo sapiens itself is a sign that we are immature.
That makes
Right?
sense.
We were immature when we called ourselves that. And a mature species would not go around calling itself, look, I'm wise. I believe that calling ourselves Homo sapiens is a sign that we were scared that we didn't belong.
Mm.
And so we are now, we were saying we are the wisest, the most intelligent. We are superior to all these other species. So this is our playground. We can do whatever we want. All these notions, all these stories we told ourselves is now being called into question. Okay, over the last 30 years, we have understood the planetary scale impact of our civilization and how we now need to play a role in the future. And that role is to be the thermostat species, whether we like it or not. We can't say, oh, I don't want that role anymore. You're stuck. Right? This is why I call nature the perfect system design. Because once you realize that's your role, you have to play that role. If you don't, nature says, all right, I'm done. You have another planet to go to? No, you don't have another planet to go to. You have to stabilize the temperature here and maintain it in the stable state forever, because we don't know whether there is a stable state at a higher temperature level. We don't know. It could become the Venus syndrome. And this is what Jim Hansen said. Jim Hansen said, if you take all the fossil fuels we have underground and burn it, the Venus syndrome is a dead certainty.
And what does that mean, the Venus syndrome?
The Venus syndrome is, he did his PhD thesis studying Venus. Why is Venus, our sister planet, roughly the same size, roughly getting the same amount of sunlight as the Earth? Why is Venus at surface temperature so high? So it is 460 degrees Celsius, the surface temperature on Venus. Okay, in his PhD thesis showed that it's that high because all the carbon, all the CO2 on Venus is in the atmosphere. So the atmospheric CO2 level is so high that the greenhouse effect is amplified, and the surface temperature on Venus is 460 degrees Celsius. So that's his thesis. And so if you take the same approach on Earth, if you take all the fossil fuels and burn it up, then the CO2 level in the atmosphere will go so high that the surface temperature on Earth will go out of control. Okay.
Right.
So, and he's claiming that he could reach Venus type levels. I mean, nothing lives, I mean, you're in an oven.
Right. In chapter 10, you also highlight that in our current state, humanity now must shift away from disrupting the life support systems of the planet and become truly responsible for stabilizing the climate. So become the true wise beings that we should be. How can we move into that planet B, the climate cooling?
Well, it first begins with transforming ourselves. So I say transform yourself, transform our world, right? So it begins by acquiring humility. You're part of something much, much more intelligent than you thought. And she has been using us. We think we have been using her. No, she's been using us to stabilize the climate on Earth. And understandably so, because the Earth is at the inner edge of the habitable zone around the sun. It's not like you can do whatever you want and life will somehow come back. Life is quite fragile. So she's like a middle-aged planet. Potentially could die. She's saying, okay, now I want a few more years. In her case, few more years is few 100 million years of more life. Okay. And how do you do that? Well, you have to stabilize the climate. You need to get some active feedback going so that even as the Earth gets closer and closer to the inner edge, you're able to stabilize it and maintain the temperature, maintain the climate for life to thrive. Right? And it's not that hard to do. Basically, you can coast, at the temperature that was there 200 years ago. You can literally coast, but you have to be in alignment with nature. You cannot go and disrupt the life support systems of the planet. You have to let the life support systems stabilize themselves. And if they're not stable right now because we have already pushed them beyond the point of no return, then we have to figure out how to pull them back. That's the next step in the transformation that needs to happen. And once we do that, we can basically maintain it for as long as we want. Right? So it's our job. It's like you are a technician who has to maintain the AC in a home. So we are like that technician, who has to maintain the life support systems on planet Earth. That's our role.
It's very interesting to think of it like, because the thermostat species is the one that can move it in either direction if needed.
You can, but you have to do that within the stable zone of the life support systems of the planet. Right? Because that's the primary thing. The planet's systems are the primary thing. And our role is secondary.
Right.
Okay. So it's not like we know there is another stable state that we can just pull the thing to and leave it there. No.
Right.
We have no clue.
Yeah.
Okay. We do know that for 10,000 years it was stable at that state. So this is why I'm suggesting in the solutions to restore the ecosystems that used to be there 200 years ago, because you are trying to get back to that state. Okay? Because that's a stable state that we know, right, in the system. I mean, these are complex nonlinear systems, and they may have another stable state somewhere else, we don't know, maybe at much lower temperature. That's a stable state, because that's the, between the glaciation and the interglacial period, it was toggling between the two, right? So there may be another stable state like 10 degrees Celsius cooler than where we are now. But then, most of North America, most of Northern Europe would be frozen.
Right.
And, nothing could live there. So it's a stable state with very low quality of life. So this is a stable state with a high quality of life, and everyone can thrive. And I think this is where we need to bring the thermostat setting and maintain it. So first is to understand that we belong as a species. There is a role for us, number one. And number two, we have been already doing that for the last 10,000 years, unknowingly, right? Or maybe even knowingly, we don't know. Maybe our ancestors knew and we forgot because we got more and more separate from nature. But there is nothing in the written record saying that our ancestors knew that. So I'd say first is acquire humility. You're not the wisest species. Okay? And stop calling ourselves Homo sapiens. So I think it's a very important step to change our name, what we call ourselves. And I'm proposing that we adopt Judy Carman's Homo Ahimsa as the name for humanity. So it's not talking about our characteristic of how wise we are, but talking about our character, which is that we are non-violent to other beings. So we are here to stabilize the climate and maintain it, and the animals can come and complain to us. This is not good. Go fix this.
No. Yeah.
So we are serving the animals in that sense. Right? And I think that's a great way to live, where you're in service to other life. You're not the boss of other life, that you can go do whatever you want. You're in service to others. So it begins with that sense of humility. And of course we have to maintain this, which means that we may have to do mining and things like that, but on a very small scale, just to maintain. So once you have an objective, and we have an objective now as a species, then you can design systems to meet that objective with the minimum amount of resources extracted from the planet. And all our children, they all should be taught that this is our objective.
Right.
So this is why I say that the education system needs to change first. So we have to transform the education system so that we are teaching our children our true role as the climate regulating thermostat species of the planet.
All right. And that goes into the acronym vegan.
Yeah. Vegan is vitally engaged guardians of animals and nature. In a way, guardian also means that you have more power over the animals, which you do. But a guardian should not be abusing those that they're responsible for. Okay.
Right.
So it's about taking care of them. It's recognizing that we have the technology to kill them off too.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of power, it comes with responsibility in the system.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of the true purpose of governance as well.
True purpose of governance is to protect and cultivate the health and vitality of the planet and all its inhabitants for generations to come. And this is Dr. Shelley Ostroff who said that. That's the only legitimate purpose of governance. The purpose of governance is not to raise children in order to exploit them. Basically, we teach them incorrect science, like the protein myth and the calcium myth and so on, in order so that they start eating the wrong foods. So putting candy at eye level, deceiving them into consuming foods that are bad for them so that they get sick, so that they can be customers for the pharmaceutical industry. That is not the purpose of governance. Because there the assumption is that the purpose of governance is to ensure that corporations can increase their profits and the economy can grow. Okay,
Right, so that goes back to economic growth.
Right. That goes back to economic growth as the optimization criteria. And you say you don't need to do that. The only legitimate purpose of governance is to protect and cultivate the health and vitality of the planet and all its inhabitants for generations to come. We all have to agree on that. That's the only legitimate purpose of governance. And once we agree on that, then we can say, why are we organized like this? So we're asking fundamental questions about the system and then answering them as to how you would do this. So Mother Earth has singled us out and tagged us. Say, you're it. Initially there were lots of hominids. We had lots of cousins. And we are the ones who won. We tussled with them, we killed them off, or we probably even intermarried with them, and we are all intermingled right now. So we are the species that knows how to control fire. So which means we are it.
A lot of people, they believe that planet Earth would be better off without our species here, without humanity. What is your perspective on that?
I use always the magic wand experiment. Okay? And this is something that my advisor taught me to do when I was doing my PhD. He said, take whatever you are proposing and simplify it and see, does it make sense? Okay? If it makes sense, then it likely is true. So then you can proceed further. If it doesn't make sense, don't even bother with your hypothesis. Throw it away, right? Start another one. And so it's a quick and dirty way of analyzing things. So I start with the magic wand experiment. Assume that I wave a magic wand and all 8 billion human beings disappear off the face of the earth. What happens to the earth? Number one, if you disappear, all of our power plants, everything will stop operating. So which means we'll stop burning fossil fuels right away. And when you stop burning fossil fuels right away, the cooling gases will disappear right away within 2 to 3 weeks. And when the cooling gases disappear, the earth will heat up by 50% to 87%, as we just discussed in the last few chapters, right?
Right.
So the earth will heat up right away. You will get a lot more these fires and so on. So it's not clear whether it will stabilize. So it could be that the temperature will increase and increase and increase and get amplified to a point where the Venus syndrome becomes a dead certainty. Again,
Right.
because all the methane that's in the permafrost will melt. Permafrost will melt, the methane will just come out And that'll heat up the earth even more. And so there are lots of positive feedback loops that come into play. Okay? So it's likely that the earth could become Venus. So we don't know. Potentially, the earth heats up and the North Atlantic current stops and Europe cools, and then you get a lot of ice on top of Europe, which reflects sunlight back, and the earth could stabilize. We don't know. Okay. But again, this is an experiment that you don't want to run.
No.
And the animals are saying, don't run that experiment. So we need you. So basically, I say we have to know that we have a role to play, and we have to take on the responsibility for playing that role, instead of saying, we are better off with not being here. The earth would be better off with human beings not here, right? We don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really well said too, and important, because it's, some people, they feel like there is no role, but it's very clear how important the human role is on planet B and as the thermostat species.
Yeah. So a species that has power over the life support systems is a species that's going to maintain the life support systems and stabilize it. So this is how Mother Earth is building homeostasis for herself. She gave us all homeostasis, right? We can go to a colder climate or a warmer climate and maintain the same body temperature. Right? So that allows us to be flexible in an environment that's changing. So we can migrate from place to place and still survive. And she says, I want that for myself too, because the sun is getting bigger and bigger. It's getting warmer and warmer. So help me stabilize the climate. And she tagged us and said, you're it. You're the species that's going to do this. So we are the species that knows how to create technology. We are the species that has access to science. We can figure out the outer truth, so systematically through science. So using all that, you have to maintain the life support systems. And I think it's an obvious role that's right there in front of us, right?
And exciting one too.
It is. So teaching children that, first of all, right? So that everybody understands that this is a role we have to play. And if you don't play that role, well, things are going to get worse and worse and worse, and you die off. Right? And that's not a future I want to give to my children and grandchildren.
No,
So you begin with that. Help them understand that we all belong exactly as we are. And we have a role to play, and we have to organize around that role. And education is to help you organize around that role. It's like you're going to technical training college on a planetary scale. So we have to understand who we are serving. This is why education should be around the other species who are part of the earth.
Right, not just our own history and these types of things.
Right, yeah. Our education system is so messed up compared to what we need to be on planet B. So planet B education system, you will understand the other beings that you're serving. Who are your neighbors in this ecosystem that you're in? And how do you bring that back? And how do you help them thrive? Because when they thrive, you thrive with them.
Yeah. It's not complicated. It's just, it does take that systematic change, though, to move things onto this planet B way.
Yeah. Any system has to be built on the right foundations. And what do I mean by right foundations? The foundations have to be in alignment with nature. See, engineering is about building products that are in alignment with nature.
Right.
Because if they're not in alignment with nature, they won't work. So engineers always say, Mother Nature said that's not correct. Okay, we have to fix it. Okay? And Mother Nature is our final boss that says your product works or doesn't work.
That's a good way to look at it.
It is. Right? Yeah. So if things are stable, then your product will work. So you've designed a stable system within the current environment.
Mm. That's beautiful. And this goes into a quote that you shared towards the end of chapter 10, which is whatever we focus on and highlight amplifies in the universe.
Correct.
Why do you feel like that was so important in this chapter that really relates to how we belong in nature?
But whatever we focus on and we talk about it, then others hear what you're saying. If they agree with that, they've spread that. So when you focus on something and you say it out, you act with that focus, you amplify that in the universe. So the universe is a great amplifier, right? So this is why if you focus on all of our negative impacts and you keep saying that, and that gets amplified. Everyone says, oh, we are negative, we have to get rid of this, we get rid of ourselves and so on. So you tell a story, that story gets amplified. So you have to tell a positive story of humanity so that gets amplified. And when that gets amplified, then people say, oh yeah, we know we belong because of this. And therefore, we are going to transform ourselves to be in alignment. So it becomes like, oh, this is the next step we have to take as humanity, right? That's the next step forward towards thriving. This is what we wish each other, right? When a joyous new year, every year we wish others a joyous new year. And all I'm saying is that I'm not only wishing, I'm actually showing you how to do it. So how to systematically get to a joyous new year by year, right? So it has to be done systematically. Systems engineering is about finding solution space and then finding the optimum solution within the solution space and so on. It's about understanding systems and understanding how to make systems accomplish a desired objective. See, initially, I was thinking, why am I working on this? Why am I supposed to figure this out? Then I realized this is my job.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what my granddaughter told me. Do your job, right? She said, do your job. And my job is to figure out the solution space for the problems you're facing and the optimum solution within that solution space. And within that framework, I'm saying I have not seen anything that would come close to this vegan rewilding solution. Help the planet go vegan so that we are all taking care of our own health, and rewild the planet so that we can restore the ecosystems that used to be there 200 years ago, and we can maintain that. And that is the only way that I see to stabilize the life support systems of the planet and to maintain them into the foreseeable future. And of course, you're going to see some effects that we haven't understood, and as we come across those, we have to solve them. So it's not like we already know the solution for everything that is going to happen for the next 10,000 years. No, it is adaptive. You have to maintain this forever. In a way, it reminds me of the internet communications work that I was doing as well. When two chips talk to each other, they have to first figure out the channel that they're on. Okay, both sides have to figure out the channel that they're on. And then once they figure it out, the channel will adapt. The channel will change. Because there'll be new radio stations that come on, new TV stations that come on, new signals that come on and interfere with your channel. And the channel has to adapt. Or the temperature will increase, or the temperature will decrease. The channel has to adapt. So if your internet connection is constantly on, thank an engineer who figured out how to maintain that as the channel adapts.
Yeah, very cool. In this chapter, as we close out chapter 10, you talk about how important it is to shine our light. At this time, we are encouraged to shine our light. What do you mean by that, shining our light?
We have to amplify this new story. So we have to recognize that we belong and get better so that everyone wants to know, what is it that makes you tick? Because they see us being happy and confident and working towards a brighter future. this
Right.
compassionate science behind us. So shine, go out there, don't hide, and tell this new story of human belonging in nature, how we belong as the thermostat species, how we belong as Homo ahimsa, and that there is a path to a thriving future on this planet for all of us. And it begins with kindness to all life. Right? And it's a great way to live.
It's the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to live in a way where you have to kill animals in order to survive? That is what we were taught. You have to kill animals in order to survive. You have to exploit animals in order to survive. And I'm saying, we know that's not true. because I've been alive now for almost 18 years as a vegan. I've tried to not exploit animals at all for anything. Even my clothes are not made with animals. My shoes are not made with animals. And I don't eat any animals. So I've been living a vegan lifestyle for the last 18 years. And I'm healthier and happier and stronger than I ever used to be. I used to have arthritis at the age of 40, for heaven's sake. I was hobbling around without a pill. If I didn't
Now you're
have
doing
a pill.
6-minute planks.
Yeah, I'm doing 6-minute planks, yeah. So it's, you have to be on that upward spiral of greater and greater health, defying age, right?
All right. And it shows too, it doesn't matter what age you are, where you're at or any of these things. It's once you start moving this direction, it's all benefit.
Yeah, it's all benefit, and I don't mind dying also. So it's only when you're not afraid to die that you really begin to live.
So true.
When my usefulness is over, please take me. I'm done, right? But as long as I'm useful, I'm going to be here. So if you're still alive, that means nature says you're still useful. She has
So
something for you to do.
Yeah.
Because nature is the perfect system design. So begin with that. Okay? Begin with that total faith in the perfection of nature.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, Dr. Rao. So I think that's a good way to kind of close out the episode. As we move into our next episode, we'll talk more about why human beings throughout history, it's scientifically proven that we do belong in nature, and we have for a very, very long time. So we look forward to getting into that in the next episode. And Dr. Rao, would you like to share any closing message with our audience today?
Thank you all. It's my privilege to be on this journey with all of you and know that we all belong exactly as we are.
Well, thank you all, and we'll see you again for episode 11.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where free range means actually free. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Thanks, Dr. Rao.
Hello, everyone. So glad you're here. And let me just say a word about what's coming up now. This is a Saturday podcast, which means that we do have some reports, some project reports, which will follow this podcast. As a matter of fact, we have two project reports today. The first is with Dr. Mystery, who will present a project update on Hindu culture oversight and climate crisis. And then we'll have another project report with Brittany Bunk on Imaginarium Compendium. So we have a few minutes before we bring up Dr. Mystery. As a matter of fact, we have 20 minutes. So let's discuss this topic of this podcast today. And what I'd like to invite you to do is to come on screen, raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and let's have a brief conversation. Who'd like to be a part of it? Please raise your hand. How do humans belong on Earth? In nature. Tammy, can you come on screen? And how about your audio? Come, yeah, there we go. Hey, Tammy, looks like you're in nature. Do you belong in nature, Tammy? Oh, we're not hearing you. You're still muted. You're muted, Tammy. There we go. Okay.
I'm unmuted. Yes, I'm in a winter wonderland, walking
Wow.
through a wetland that used to be a wetland, but now there's just a tiny little part of it that's still wet. It's dried up mostly like a lot of our wetlands here. But I don't really know if I would say belong in nature. I am nature. We are nature. As you know, my first book when I healed my gut called Earth Gut, the story of peace, love, and microbes. So, you know, the earth we partake in, the earth that we know that we're part of, that we praise or poison. So I guess shows up in our gut. And so I guess for me, you know, the very end of this talk was how do we remember that we are the earth, that everything within us is in the earth and everything in the earth is within us. I think it's that reverence that Sailesh is talking about. I really do. The reverence for increasing our vibration so high that we vibrate at the frequency of love and liberation. And that's a challenge in these times because we're so bombarded with lots and lots of bad news and bad facts. And how do we keep our vibration high? And I know for myself, I came back from a Vipassana meditation retreat, and then I didn't meditate like they had recommended, and I could feel negative thoughts entering again. So for me, how I remember that I am the earth is that I spend time on her and give offerings and allow myself to receive the peace, and then spend time in prayer meditation every day in connection, because it's not a supplement that we do if we have time at the end of the day, but it's actually clearing the clutter so that for me, so that I can remember my spark of divine, my true essence. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tammy,
Thank
for
you.
sharing a piece of the outdoors
Thank you,
with
everyone.
us. Yes. Okay. Ray?
Good morning.
Hi, nice to see you.
I missed yesterday, so I'll have to catch up on it.
Okay, yes.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
let's start by talking about the catch-22 that we're Homo sapiens, but we don't seem to have connected to that wisdom. We are an intelligent species, and we collect a lot of data, and we can make a lot of decisions because of it. But our preoccupation with the economy, economics, like an entirely man-made topic, and it's linked to our destiny. We can't ignore the economics of humanity. It's part of our civilization, and I think Sailesh makes a very helpful illustration of what humanity is in the grand plan of things, the grand scheme of things. And I think a lot of environmentalists, especially the ones that are the most frustrated by economic obstacles, categorize humans as a virus. There's that Matrix analogy that they play out and say that humanity is a virus. It causes harm to absolutely everything. It doesn't have a symbiotic relationship with anybody. And if we believe that, then environmentalists obviously want everybody to feel the appropriate amount of shame. And we've talked about shame before. Shame is kind of a tricky word especially for animal advocates who try to shame people into right behavior. and we're told that it backfires. I'm not convinced that's always true. If you shame somebody and they didn't instantly become vegan, were they just about to become vegan and then, you know, you spoiled it? That's the narrative they'd like to give you. There's a delicate conversation to be had, but there's also a blunt conversation to be had, and it's enough. The way that we're treating animals, there are people out there that are saying it's enough, and you could support them. You don't need to do it yourself, but you can support the movement even if it's not the tactic that you're participating in. This applies to animal rights. It applies to environmentalism. It applies to environmentalists who say it's all about policy. It's all about policy. Just fight for the policy. The rest is nonsense. Don't worry about being vegan. We'll be vegan when animal, you know, I mean, Dr. Rao has some dark stories of conversations he's had with environmentalists about when we will become vegan, when the population has been reduced to 1 billion people, according to one person that he talked to, a person of influence, a person that was involved in the narrative of climate change. So I use the word zeitgeist. I hope everybody understands what it means. It's just, you know, kind of our personality as a species. I'm very fascinated with all the little details of psychology as you try to work through things in your personal relationship with the world, how much that is directly related to how humanity as a whole is finding a way to be more mature. Civilization is becoming more mature and leaving behind the fight for survival that, you know, as this animal species, we once were fighting for survival. Now we're fighting for a different kind of survival, and it requires us to pay attention and ignore a lot of the instincts, a lot of the fear instincts, a lot of the herding instincts that are make it us easy to manipulate on a political level. But one thing I wanted to mention about those first comments in this video was the idea that wisdom is so distinct from intelligence. We are clearly the most intelligent species by the metrics that we want to use, the collection of data, the sharing of information across generations. We don't know how much that happens in the animal kingdom. There's probably examples, but we clearly have libraries and the internet. We have a huge advantage for the data. We have big data working for us. We have AI working for us, hopefully working for us more than it's working against us. So what is the difference between the intelligence and the wisdom? I made a comment in the chat that the intelligence is the data. Science is data, but wisdom is politics. And politics is usually a word that we use as a pejorative, the politics that corrupts the science. But science isn't anything unless you apply some politics to it. You have to do something about the data that you see. Otherwise, nothing's going to get solved. So good politics is what we need. Veganism, is it political? I would say it is. It's something that is saying we have to do this. We look at the data, we have the intelligence, and now do we have the wisdom to overcome our appetite? Our appetite is in the way more than anything else. So, yeah. You know, great, we got this great big brain and a cerebral cortex, but the evidence seems to be that the stomach and the taste buds are calling all the shots.
Yeah, I think Dr. Rao would say that that one of our jobs is to educate, and I think this podcast will help a lot to educate people. And so,
but that's intelligence. That's not wisdom.
That is, yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes. Mm-hmm. So how do you educate and give people wisdom? Is that something
how do you teach somebody? How do you try to teach somebody who's pretending to be asleep? You say something to them in there, you know. People know how we treat animals, and they don't want to be challenged on that topic because they don't want to have to actually change anything about their lifestyle. They're not looking for a new way to live, a new way to engage the world. And until they do, they're not really useful to us.
Yeah. Ray, I'd like to add two other people to the conversation because we only have a few minutes. We have Dr. Ort and we also have Toby. Toby, I don't remember your last name, but anyway. Hello, Dr. Ort. Would you like to add something to this conversation?
Yes, I would love to. It was very interesting to watch the performance again this today. Actually, I was had a walk with a friend of mine in our area, and I asked him to come in, and then it was just starting the performance, and he wanted only to stand. He didn't want to sit down to watch it, but. He got sort of intrigued by it, but he said he's still of the opinion that it is hopeless, that there's no way we can go to that. So we talked about vegan, and so he said this would take a long time. And then I told him that maybe it could do pretty quickly. And that's so I can see what we are up to in convincing people. It's a very, very big task to change them. That is possible to give them courage. But it's crucial, I think, to have them. That there is a solution. But so actually, Ray and I are preparing an exhibit that we hope to get simple people just to look at the information we have and to see that there are these spirals for planet A and for planet B. Both it's possible.
Where will you be doing this exhibit?
But probably in White River Junction we are thinking of, but it's still in the initial stage. So I haven't checked with them yet, but if it's possible. But we would have exhibit of pictures of about 2 feet or 2.5 feet large, so that you can see it. And in the beginning would be a balloon or so of the Earth itself, and then see what is happening to it first, and then that there is a solution if we go
Okay.
back to vegan.
Let us
So
know if you need help with that.
I'm sorry.
Let us know if you need help with that.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ray is the main source of making many of the pictures, so it was very, very good to work with him. So, and any advice is possible. So maybe we can show it for one of the, if there is other proposals that we could plan it.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to stay on screen and continue? Or should I take you off screen, Dr. Ort?
Whatever you like.
Okay. Hello, Toby.
Hey, yeah, I was just gonna bring up the idea of it takes a lot of like deep self-reflection. And I think like to we can learn things, but you can't really learn how to self-reflect, have a deep self-reflection. I don't even know how you really learn it. I think you just kind of evolve to do it, but people don't seem to want to have deep thoughts about things, and if they think about the idea of it, they find it a bit depressing. And all they want to go do is go out and party and just like reap as much as they can in this life. And I think that's what life is about, taking as much as you can and just enjoying yourself while you've got it. But I think maybe it's a bit deeper than that. You got to really think about like there's important things you need to be able to consider,
I like your question, and I think Dr. Ort has something to share about this because there was a time not too long ago when Thich Nhat Hanh made popular the whole concept of what's the word, where people are self-aware, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the word I was looking for.
Right.
That became very popular. It wasn't even really a word before. I don't think people used it very often, but now it's pretty much worldwide understood. Can't we teach children mindfulness right from the get-go, right from the very beginning? Isn't that something we can teach? What do you think?
Can we teach love? Can you teach like compassion and kindness? And I guess you can You start to have to evolve it through all different methods, I guess, just being there, like holding each other and, understanding care. And it's something that's kind of built into us. We know, you don't really get necessarily taught how to be a mother or how to, bring up children. They kind of taught, but it's not really, it doesn't have to be talked about. You just see it and you learn from just experiencing these things. It's kind of like natural, isn't it? And the
Yes.
fact that, I don't know, it's just amazing. The fact of just that young life coming into the world is just, you can't really learn that, you don't really learn how to love. I don't know. Do you learn how to love?
Totally. We are changing as we speak. Humanity is changing. Humans are evolving. We're not the same as we were a couple hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago. And so if we instinctively know to give a child milk when the child is born, it certainly feels like if we are going to respond to this need to survive, that we will learn to embrace certain instincts that will allow us to raise children in such a way that they'll be more responsible for the environment, that they'll feel part of nature, that they will feel like they are nature, as Tammy was saying. So that needs to be part of our conversation as we go forward, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Thich Nhat Hanh didn't meet Dr. Rao. So he died before he met him, because in the monastery they don't eat meat or milk either. They follow the scheme, but they never stress the point of not killing animals, although they don't kill animals. What is the problem is, I think that he then said, okay, he didn't see a way out. So he said, we probably, the civilization will die. But if he would have met Dr. Rao, then probably he would have been very enthusiastic and continue that and see that's possible. Bianca, maybe you have something to say?
No, the fact is that when Thich Nhat Hanh started his whole life as a teacher, he was all alone, because in Vietnam he was no mourner. He couldn't save. Communism took over. So he went to France and he started just by himself with one friend. Now there are 5 monasteries in the whole life in the world. There are a huge amount of people who follow him. But it took time, but it was possible and it happened. So I'm just sort of like feeling like, okay, we need to have confidence, like Sailesh is saying, that this is possible. Our attitude already needs to be more up, I think. And then we can do whatever we are capable of doing it. But it starts there, I think. It's sort of like a basic foundation of optimal outcome, like optimism will show.
And it starts with yourself. Also,
Yes.
that will change the world.
That's what we want to amplify in the world. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Dr. Provost, would you like to join this conversation? And that would allow us to just transition into your presentation. Okay, let me bring you on screen. And maybe you'll say just a word about yourself, who you are, because I don't really have a presentation ready to say who you are, Dr. Mystery. So go ahead and say a word and join us in this conversation.
Thank you. So I am Prabodh Mistry. I'm an environmental engineer, and I'm based in Abingdon, near Oxford, in UK. So I guess Toby is not far away from here. But I like your accent, Toby.
Oh, thanks. I'm from up north though, but I live in Spain now.
Yeah. And you remind me of the 70s groups, the pop group.
I get that a lot.
So, yeah, do you know, when we work with this climate healers group, we come up with one idea or two ideas, and it just evolves. And when VCOP 23 was announced, I mentioned to Amit and Sailesh that I'd like to propose a project, and at that time I called it, because I've been talking to Hindu groups in UK, so I called it Hindu Culture Oversight and Climate Crisis. But when by the time I got to Toronto and met so many of you, except Ray, I saw you, Ray, but you didn't see me.
I saw you at a distance, but we never managed to get face to face.
Yes, that's right. But by the time I got to Toronto, it was something that was made into more general. So that's why I called it eventually Confronting Religious Oversight to Tackle Climate Crisis. And one of the reasons that I did that is because we want to be able to attract lots of newcomers by reaching out, and then hopefully, kind of become invited to the climate healers meetings and various of the meetings that we all take part in. So I wanted to make it a lot more kind of broader and gain support of lots of people that I'll come on to as well, because I have Dakota, as well as Sailesh has given his support, as well as a few other people. Darren Jim has also joined in, and so on. And what I wanted to say is that we have so far prepared an overall brief, which I shared in the chat earlier. It's a little bit further away. It was shared at 16:35.
Okay, let me look for that.
So if it's a 2-page brief that I prepared to say, let's look at, first of all, spirituality in the context of values, because I think with all of these things, actions, if we are keen to actually have actions, precede our interactions, then I think we need to focus on values as well as all the other things that we are doing. And so there are 4 religions that we said let's focus on, but also values, then Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, because these are the major religions. We can go on to each of the religions, but let's just keep a focus on some that we can actually manage.
And did you want me to share that document on screen?
Not necessary. Not necessary.
Okay, let me know if you want me to.
You're most welcome to keep a copy, because what I have done there is to actually just bring out key elements of the beliefs that actually people use. The fact that Jesus fed fish to people, or that during the flood, he allowed meat. Well, it's a little bit like in Antarctic or Arctic, you would allow Eskimos to eat meat, for instance, when there is no other option. So I think we are often taking things out of context and not putting it into the present day context. So I wanted to make a head-on start with each of those things which actually people refer to as, well, our religion allows. So let's confront those issues head on. So I've highlighted for the 4 religions, what are those key things that people hide behind.
Interesting.
As Ray said earlier, you can't wake up people who are pretending to be asleep, because they'll forever pretend to be asleep. So this is about confronting those people. And can I share from here?
Yes, I'm going to bring you up to the center of the screen. Give me just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you able to see this?
Yes, we were able to see it.
Okay, good. So it's just one slide that I have. So this is what the group is now called, Confronting Religious Oversight to Tackle Climate Crisis. And what we have done, we have actually met twice already, and the third meeting is straight after this session. So we'll be meeting in another hour's time or so. So we've prepared a brief, which is what I've shared with you. We've had 2 meetings, another one is coming up, and these are the 3 things that we have actually decided to prepare. So values-based spirituality, it's a presentation that we're looking at 40 minutes to 1 hour, to focus on values-based spirituality that can complement any religious group meeting or presented solely to any group. And Darren Jin is actually taking the lead on this one, so we'll be having an update a little later. I'm taking the lead in Hinduism, and I've already prepared this presentation and I've shared it with the group that we're working with. I will be happy to share with that once we're happy with it, with the whole of the group. So you can see the issues that we're actually going into. I've also prepared a 1,400-word article to go with this. So, if people aren't able to join, but just want to read something very quickly, then I've prepared that, and Sailesh has also seen it. He's also edited it, and so it's pretty much in its final form now. So those 2 things is what we're going to be looking at a little later. And then we also have Dakota, who's actually taken the lead on Christianity in the same way. So what we're trying to do is keep to a standard format where we confront those issues head on, but also then talk about the environment and how to interpret, which actually will make their faith more deeper than just on the surface, as it were. The interpretation has got to be deeper. And that's what we're looking at through not only Hinduism and Christianity, but hopefully for Buddhism as well as Islam in due course. And so this is what we will be discussing after that. So that's where we are. I could really say a lot more, but I think this is probably enough for the time being, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, so I'll open it up for anyone who wants to raise their hand and ask a question. I know Dakota is here with us. Would you like Dakota to join you, or do you want to tackle all the questions?
If he would like to, yes.
Okay, Dakota, if you'd like to join, then please come on screen. Okay, Amit has his hand up. Amit, let me spotlight you. Yes, Amit.
Thank you very much. This is a very important topic that you have picked up, Dr. Prabodh. I have a question. When you say Hinduism, now that becomes quite a broad category. So would you also be connecting to organization levels? I mean, under Hinduism, they say ISKCON is one organization, Sai is one organization, so Brahma Kumaris is another. So
it's Hinduism is so broad, so many paths, so many things. You're right. So what we have done, and we focus this on in the brief itself, we want to address the issues that actually prevent people turn to plant-based diet or veganism. So we don't want to challenge them on anything and everything. We just want to pick up on the issues which are preventing them, or they're using in order to not take plant-based.
But how do you approach them?
How do we?
Yeah. Approach. An
You mean the
organization.
groups?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you see, Sailesh is due to come to UK, as you know.
Right.
And so what I'm doing, I'm hoping that at least a couple of meetings will be organized, because he's the one who can open doors. But I think, for instance, in Northampton, we have been asked to do a 2-hour session. So what we could do is actually go in with a more generic values-based presentation together
Right.
with, his message on Planet B, and combine the two. And Darren Jin has also mentioned that he's working with a couple of groups here. So he's also trying to organize meetings. Maybe it may not coincide with Sailesh's visit to the UK, but certainly, we are all there. As long as we have those presentations that we are happy with, we can actually confidently present them.
Okay. So although it is about religion, you take the sustainability angle to
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good approach. I was in London 2 weeks ago, and then we were at BAPS Swaminarayan Temple. Such a beautiful campus. Everything was pristine. Most of the food was vegan, except for there was dairy in certain things. And yeah, so
Do you know what I find is that the Hindu temple goers, as well as community goers, community people, are very ignorant about what is veganism. For them, they call pure vegetarian
right,
diet, which means dairy included but not eggs.
right,
And they call that pure vegetarian. And when I have often asked them, if certain food is vegan, they said yes, it's pure vegetarian.
right,
But then when you realize that it also has milk, you have to kind of educate that. So
right,
what I'm doing with Hinduism is I'm actually confronting this association of Krishna with cow. And that has come about mainly 500 BC, when Vyas put together Mahabharata as well as Puranas. So, these are stories which have
right,
been kind of created in order to prevent violence meted out to oxen and cattle family.
right.
It wasn't really to promote milk. Milk is a byproduct. It was to actually prevent cruelty to animals which were worked on farms a great deal. So, like this, each issue we need to confront with historical facts, values, but also rationality in today's circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to bring Paige up.
Hi,
Thank
Paige.
you.
Hi, it's so wonderful to see you,
Thank you.
housemate. I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on how you will promote this, and how climate healers can support you in promoting this, and who your target audience will be, so to speak, for these particulars? Yeah,
Yes.
wonderful.
I think the primary audience got to be, the churchgoers, the church, the Hindu temples, the Buddhist temple, and if we can find ways into Islamic places of worship as well, because we can go in with values as well as kind of environmental angle, climate crisis. In UK, climate crisis briefing has actually taken place for the politicians on 27th of November. I attended that as an observer, and the message is really taken seriously, but it still doesn't materialize in action. So I think the primary groups are the religious groups. That's why I felt this topic needed to be broadened out.
Well, I absolutely appreciate how you're holding the religions of the world, I'm going to say, accountable for what they're saying. In other words, that's what I feel like needs to be brought forward, and that you're doing that in every which way that we possibly can this year, in particular, given the information that we all know, is to hold the various organizations accountable for their impact and what they're saying that they want to change, but yet they're not. Right. So I work with environmentalists and city councils with plant-based treaty and their greenhouse gas emissions goals, right? Or GHG goals.
Yes.
Holding them accountable. So anyway, I see Allison has her hand raised, but it's wonderful to see you.
One comment on that page.
Yeah.
I'm also doing some consultancy work, and I have monitored something like 7 projects in the last 18 months with local authorities. In UK, all the local authorities have declared climate emergency. Now, because I've been working closely with them, my first questions were, what do you do about that? And they had no clear answers, other than they have plans to put plans in place. You know, there's nothing in particular. So I'm aware of the local authorities as well, but local authorities are very slow to move. They're very bureaucratic in the UK, certainly.
We see that here in the United States as well. And I would say all the folks from globally here can speak. That's, think about the COPs that are happening, right?
Yes.
Every year it's talk, talk, talk. So, all right. I think, Allison, did you have your hand raised? Over to you.
Yeah. And I also brought Dakota up to be part of this conversation. And my particular area that I wanted to ask you about, Dr. Mystery, is a comment that was made yesterday is that in India, camel's milk is showing up on the grocery shelves in the grocery stores. And so I'm assuming you wouldn't know it were camel's milk unless it were advertised as such. So once you start advertising that we're selling camel's milk, doesn't that already raise the question, well, what's this other milk? If this is camel's milk, and if this is oat milk, then what is this milk? This milk is cow's milk.
Yep.
I was wondering if this is a commercial interest that is emerging. I've heard about it in the Middle East, that camel's milk is now on the shelves. So I'm wondering if this is an opportunity to raise the question about the validity of milk now. Once you start seeing, I mean, what will it be next? Rabbit milk, or just be, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact,
Yeah.
not only camel's milk, but I have seen that one of the famous yoga teacher, Guru Ramdev, he's actually promoting donkey's milk as, in his what's called Ayurvedic approaches. And that's very disturbing as well. So I think if we can tackle the cow's milk issue, the others, in my opinion, will be implicit. But a cow has always represented the animal kingdom, certainly in the Hindu culture itself. So I think it will go without saying.
Yeah. Dakota, I'm glad you're here, and I understand you've joined with Dr. Mystery in his project. So I don't know if you want to make any comments about anything that's been discussed so far. And then Ken has raised his hand. He has a question also.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to make a comment. I just really love this conversation, and I'm so excited that Prabodh started this project, because I've run into this, like all of you, with the problem with religious groups. And I was involved with 2 climate groups, one with a Catholic parish that I attend locally sometimes, and then one with a Protestant church I also attend. And their climate groups are so pro-peace, pro nature, like they want to plant trees and things like that, which is great. But I ran into complete just resistance with mentioning the topic of animal agriculture. So I'm happy to just be involved with this. And what I plan on with the Christianity presentation I'm working on is to address things like the, oh, well, Jesus ate fish, or the fish and the loaves story, and various things like that always kind of come up. And to use some of the information from the Christspiracy documentary, which they go through and break down all of that. And then also use some information from the Interfaith Vegan Coalition and their packets. There's beautiful packets they've gotten together for various religions to help address all the things that do come up. And so even though I kind of tried this on my own with these other groups I was attending before, I just feel like I've learned more, and now I have more connections, and being part of this group with Prabodh has been great, and everybody that's working on it. And this, the challenge that he's given for me personally, just to put a presentation together, I think it's going to help me. And I love his no nonsense approach too. It's gentle, but it's like the truth, and there's just there's no debate or argument about it. It's not like trying to argue with people. It's just saying, hey, we now know through environmental science and all the data that animal agriculture is the #1 thing we need to stop first to help the climate crisis, and ending fossil fuel use is second. And so how are we going to address this? And I don't know, this is just wonderful. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Dakota. Ken?
I thank you so much for this. I'm absolutely fascinated with the subject, and I'd just like to contribute a little bit from we're working on the Delhi Breathe project with the pollution. And at the beginning, we just got overwhelmed with all of the negative data and all of the issues. And looking for a way to get into action has been our challenge. And we're talking now about initiatives, local initiatives as a way to get into action. But when you just mentioned local authorities don't know what to do, and religious groups don't know what to do, it seems like your work can evolve into actual physical action plans that they can do to give them a hand, get past the argument stage, the dialogue stage into physical action. So I just heard you say that, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, you've got the same challenge that we do. So anyway, I think having some aspect of your work move toward actual action plans, recommending, highlighting, maybe identifying existing action plans that can be replicated, things like that. So that I just want to contribute that perspective. And this comes directly from our work with the Ubuntuverse project, where he loves to say, don't think, and then do. Just think, do, think, do, think, do. So
you see, my work with local authorities has shown that they will not undertake any extra meeting or discussion or work until there's extra money given to them. And I've actually gone in on the back of something like £250,000 grant from the government. And I've been what's called the monitoring officer. So they have to please me before I sign their checks. So I've been at the center of the discussions about net zero. That was the focus. How do we get to net zero emissions with all the actions that they have? So looking at, there are different types of emission, level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. So procurement, getting their own house in order. But they don't move. This is why I said to Paige that it's better to focus on groups which are seen as charitable, like church groups, for instance, rather than local authorities who I find rather rigid and bureaucratic. and they will not let you in. Because last year I tried with two local authorities because I was working with them. I said, look, a world authority on climate analysis is coming. Can we organize a lunchtime session? And one came to say yes, but in the end, even that didn't happen. So we have to bear those those things in mind.
Dr. Mistry, there's a question in the chat. It says, would you please say the name of your group again? I'm guessing they mean the name of your project.
Yes.
So I'll put it in the chat, but if you would please just say it publicly, then.
Confronting religious oversight to tackle climate crisis.
Ah, okay. That's a more complete title than what I had. Okay.
I'll put the title in there as well.
In the chat, yes, please. You'll see the last question has to do with wanting to know.
Yes.
Okay. And I'd like to bring Ray up. Ready, Ray? Whoops, we lost Dr. Provost. There we go. Thank you for joining us, Dakota.
My pleasure.
Ray.
I worked in a church for many years in their television department. It was a evangelical organization, and since becoming an environmentalist, and I would have to say that I departed from that job having learned to become a true environmentalist. And I recognize that a lot of things, ideas, these newfangled ideas that I had weren't compatible with their vision. There are some interesting evangelicals who are environmentalists and even climate scientists, and they'd be interesting people to approach for this project. But I'm wondering about the Anthropocene in and of itself. One of the things that I learned from the evangelicals, if it's new, it probably isn't true. And that's, evangelicals are a particular branch of the Christian faith. And of course, all Christians aren't created equal as far as their approach to environmentalism. And it has so much to do with the worldview that of where we sit in it. And Dr. Rao uses that diagram. I wish I had it handy, the one that shows ecocentrism, where we have this hierarchy of humanity at the top, rather than dispersed amongst all of creation, all of the animals in creation. I think that's a problem with organized religions, that they are the foundation of anthropocentrism. We are told we are created on a separate day than all the other animals, at least in the Christian faith. And so I wanted to explore how we can approach anthropocentrism amongst fundamentally anthropocentrist worldviews. I like one thing that Dr. Rao, and I wonder if he's not here, but maybe you're familiar with his distinction in Hinduism, that Hinduism is allowed to redefine itself through the ages in ways that I perceive Christianity as not.
Yes. Hinduism is really an evolving philosophy. There is the basic philosophy of what's called non-dualism, but then there is dualism as well. And there's, if you look at some of the scriptures, it allows for all the different thoughts. The non-dualism, which says that there is no gap between us and God. We are all part of that same creation. The dualism says, yes, we are, separate, and we have to kind of, follow the follow the godly principles, as it were. But I think ultimately it really comes down to what is the right action. You know, the Bhagavad Gita is all about the causes and consequences of actions. And then Krishna also says, what is the right action and why you should do the right action. And so I think it's important. And I think even in Christianity, perhaps dominion has been changed over to domination, you know, in its the way we regard other animals and so on.
They're very divided on that topic of what then, how then shall we live? That's a phrase from early theology that it's divisive because the what would Jesus do camp is completely separate. It's not always how people are deciding how things could go. And the movie Christspiracy is very interesting in that capacity, because you can prove that Christ was vegetarian or vegan, and other people will say, well, we don't exactly follow what Christ did. We follow his teachings, it's not imitate what he did. And
now,
as much as that would help the Christspiracy argument.
Yes. See, in our friendly group, I would say that, this idea that if you look at the teachings of Jesus, they're actually so similar to Buddha's teaching. Non-violence, non-hurting, loving thy neighbor, and all of that is so similar. But from what I understand, the Catholic Bible didn't get finalized until 350 AD. And so you can see that it's been kind of formulated in such a way as to practice control over people and keep them, aligned to certain ways of thoughts and therefore actions as well. And I think those things have become too embedded. The church, in Hinduism, there is no overall authority. No, temples are just individual units. They can manage themselves. They don't have to report to anyone. Whereas in church, there is that kind of hierarchical reporting, or at least abiding, that is required.
What do you think about this statement that if it's new, it's probably not true? Charles Spurgeon was a theologian around the turn of the 19th century, 20th century. And I found a quote by him. He says, "I cannot agree with those who say that they have a new truth to teach. The two words seem to contradict each other. That which is new is not true. And that the old is true is as old as God himself." So there's religion that's mired in it has to fill the test of at least 2,000 years if you're Christian, and 5,000 years or more if it's the Old Testament.
See, I'm an engineer, and I've looked at ethics in a very much an engineering and rational fashion. And ethics is a function of values and environment. If the environment changes, ethics changes too. Values don't change. Love, truth, nonviolence, compassion, they don't change. The environment changes, and that means ethics change. To me, ethics is the outward way in which we interact with the outside of us. Morality is what's inside us. What's inside of us shouldn't change. But we have to change how we react with the environment. So I think there are certain differences that people perhaps don't appreciate. I have to go down to the basic definition before I discuss anything. And I think we are not talking the same language, I feel. And that one of the purpose in values-based spirituality is this, exactly this, to say, can we reach out using values to say that it's same spirituality that Jesus or Buddha or Krishna would have expanded.
I mean, the theologians are great thinkers, and it's a great way to practice evidence-based decision making, because you have to try to find evidence and work things through, even if you're referencing a dusty old book and trying to hammer some new ideas into it, which Yuval Noah Harari has some really interesting things to say about how that is kind of what happens if you want to try to form a new idea. Go to work with the text and find enough evidence to say that this is a legitimate idea, right? And this is a very specifically Christian thing that I'm talking about. But this idea of the Anthropocene, these religions have worked for us until we've come to a time where the rules don't apply anymore. The ability to use the earth to grow the human race, which was a mandate in the Christian Bible, we have to stop that now. I mean, we have to be. It's not about growth of the human race. We now have to find limits to growth, and I don't think a lot of the religion is. You're going to find that. You're going to have to find the wisdom in the Bible, not the literal text that says to. Well, what does it need to say? It needs to say that we need to take care of the world, and we need to. I mean, the thing that I'm focused on is we need to find the humility. We need to find the wisdom, and that kind of circles back to Dr. Rao's podcast that we just listened to. We need the wisdom of spiritual religious organizations and less dogma, less prove to me that we have to build a heaven on earth rather than be rewarded with the one that will come.
I need to just intervene just for a second here. Our time is up for this segment, and we'll be bringing Brittany Bunk up to do her presentation on Imaginarium Compendium. But I do want to, kind of draw this to a close quickly, and I want to also give Dr. Ort one last opportunity to ask his question. But okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, in this country, in the U.S., we have the issue that many people who are immigrants, they need a religion they need to be Christian, or mostly now, and that is maybe it's still combinable with what Sailesh is saying, that the nature is sort of the one who's the controller, also that we don't have it ourselves. So that is maybe a communication there that they all are similar. I don't know what your opinion is on how things work together, how we can make unity.
I think we can bring morality into any discussion, and morality for the present day. Morality is also not only about us, but how we interact with the society, and that's what religion is about. So I'm sure we can combine, Christian message with any other approach. Am I right answering the question?
Yeah, no, that's how you can get a variety of people, a variety of opinions together.
Yes, and what I think is that most people with a background, from overseas or whatever, they will have a good, it's the upbringing, it's the cultural context, which is much more important than a particular faith, in my opinion. Faith often divides. I think we need to get a bit lower down into the values, which is much more widespread, and that can become more uniting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes.
I have just shared a link to a video called Programmable Digital Ethics, and I have laid out my logic, values-based logic towards spirituality in there, if anyone's interested.
And I see it in the chat. That's a YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your work and for sharing this update. We look forward to your next update, maybe at the next VCOP.
Thanks, Alison. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd like to invite Brittany Bunk to begin her update on her project. Her project is called Imaginarium Compendium. And are you here with us, Brittany?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready to share your update report?
Yeah.
I can't hear you very well. I don't know if you can get closer to your microphone.
I am close to my microphone. I could unplug and replug if that helps.
Or it seems like if you speak loudly, that seems to work.
Yes. Okay. I'm just putting in some finishing touches on it. Bear with me on that. Because for some reason it got a little messy.
Okay, let me see if you're going to be able to share your screen.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I just need a quick second. It's hard.
So this will be the ultimate update. She's still finishing her presentation. Up to the minute.
I always am up to the minute.
Please share the screen.
It's ready now?
We're ready for you. Share your screen.
I just got it going, so it's good now. Just had some issues before. I'm not used to this editing platform because it's one I just don't usually use. So I just got it done right now. So we're good. Let me share the screen. So so
Perfect.
what I've done is I went from moving I made a lot of changes since I first started the project. So the VCOP 23 was such a boost forward. It was very hard for me to keep up with all the ideas and changes that I got from the input of the event. So I, I did the best I could, but then there were some more there were some more like tasks added to my workload from the climate healers and my own projects, but it was hard for me to really work on the project, but still I did make a lot of headway, and luckily it's not too hard to work on. So I had the delays of putting together VCOP 24 and the rewilding course and everything, and they're still there, so it's hard to work on it on my own. But we can go over what happened from before to after. So this is what it looked like before, where this is what I originally showcased on the VCOP 2030. And it's just the Imaginarium Compendium website where it shows all the details and everything. So in that time, when I was at the event, I was listening to the input of Krishna was saying to get help from the AI. So then I said, that would be a good idea. And then I was using I was using the AI for the icon. The icon took a little bit of time to create, and I did. The AI was a good idea. It was like less of the idea, but more of like the direction where it's like I might have to do the. So then I took up upon that direction to start. What happened was after I got that direction, the pieces started to fall into place mentally as to what were the next steps. So then I started to realize that and so after I thought up these next steps, like how to actually create the browse section, then I started to realize that the website is not enough. The name is not enough. So right now, so it started off by saying the Imaginarium Compendium, but then I realized, there's going to be so many projects with veganism alone. There's no need to expand it past that. So I decided to change the name to being the Veganarium Compendium. And because of that, I realized Weebly would not be enough to support the browse section because it's called a CMS, a content management system. And so if you want to connect an account to where people post their own projects, then where the projects show up and then they could be screened out and filtered, that's what you would need. And on Weebly, you have to pay for it a lot of money, like $30 a month, which is way too much for something that I'm not going to get paid for unless I put a donate button in. So I have to play it where it's as if I don't get paid. So that's my starting point. So I realized Wix is a place for that. Also, Weebly, I started with that over a decade ago, and in that time, it got bought by Square, which is a very not vegan website. It's kind of like Visa, but for businesses and the register instead of the card. So Wix is better for the platform. So I switched to Wix to have it where it's free. They give you one website, that's all I need. Maybe I'll need a second website for my library, but I don't really need to think that far right now on that. That's a different project. It's just this project that matters the most and first because this is the most important project of any project. It's the one where everyone's project can be worked on. Everyone's. So I need help with a lot of projects. So I need to start, once the website's set up, I'm going to need to post a lot of projects in the time of the VCOP. A lot of people have said that they need help with the projects, and I realize that my project really does matter where a lot of people would need it and be able to use it. So I changed from this to Wix, and then this is what it looks like now. I added the icons, and I did use Wix a long time ago, but then gave it up because their platform was not easy to work with. And in that time, they've changed a significant amount to make it very easy to edit, and it looks clean. And there's a lot that you can work with on it. And just recently, they added AI kiosks where you could allow for an AI to help people navigate through the website. So I can add that to it. And then on top of it, as I was working on the website today to the last minute, as I always do, I started to realize that this would be, even though I started the idea as a, so if it's finished, I started to realize that it's two parts where if I add accounts, then people are going to need to, people can post if they are able to help. So then someone who's working on a project can can connect with them, and then also people can showcase their projects that they've created. But now that I'm talking about it, I'm starting to think maybe I'm not sure. Maybe that's not needed as a separate part. It's kind of tricky to figure out how to build the website when you're trying to figure out how to navigate a new platform. Even though it's hard to get set up, Wix does make it easy where if you need help, it explains everything, so the learning curve is not massive. It's like you might start off confused and lost, but at least it shows you the way, so then it's very quick after that. So it's very hard to both set up the website and figure out how it's going to be laid out. Usually on Weebly, I don't need to, it's very intuitive. I know where everything is, I know how it's set up, and so I don't have to think about how to put the website together. I just put it together, so it's easier. But when you don't know how to put a website together, you don't know how to have it laid out. So that makes it an extra challenge. But I did create a few icons. Feel that they came out pretty well. I used the AI for that. I haven't really developed the website much, so there's a lot left to it because I barely started working on it, because I've been barely able to put together the framework of it. So as I start to get the framework going, then filling in each page is going to be pretty easy. It's just that learning curve that took me forever that delayed a lot. But luckily I've worked on Weebly enough that it's not too hard to put together websites using that knowledge that I have from there to bring to here. So yeah, I created the icon with the AI, and then the rest of it, this part's not this part's a template. That part I did not finish, but I did do the footer. The Discord servers are for what I've done in the past, just as a buffer until I could get the website going. So if I go to this would be the original server where I'll just show in here. It's the original server where I was just expanding from the vegan hacktivist one because I felt like they didn't, like what I did was I worked with the vegan hacktivists to build their playground, but what happened was it wasn't built up enough because they want permission to be able to sign up for helping out with the project, to post the project, and then they act as a middleman where they're going to filter out who is able to work on it or not. And that I feel takes away from getting any project done, because what it should be able to do is where people could just jump in, get started, work on it, and then for whatever they decide to do, and it's up to the people who create the project to decide if it's valuable or not, if that person is contributing well. And so that would be done in Microsoft Loop. So eventually I'll have every project gets a link, and then allow the, I'd I put links on there. I didn't do it yet, but this was the original one where I would have people put their projects up. Originally, it was just like a non-carnistic list, but now I realize it should just be vegan because it's a lot easier. I might open it up later to the non-carnistic ones. I was writing a lot about how to put it together here. So after that, then I built this one, which was an extension of the vegan activist one, because the playground, it just didn't seem like enough. I know that they built Lockwork, but it still has the same issues as the playground. So here's the projects. Here it is. So here is the step round 2, where I just made about vegan projects, and we could see that there's so many more vegan projects than there are for just regular non-carnistic projects. So if I have maybe both, yeah, I think I could start with just these. I think that will be okay, because that's enough to work with for now. And then opening it up more later is a possibility, because then it could just keep expanding. I tried to just take things in increments. So so this part I linked and everything. The Discord servers I linked. And then this part I got going. Then I have the showcase. Not sure why it didn't go through. Here we go. So I added some of the graphics in. This is where I'm going to try to put the links for the projects, where show you how Microsoft Loop works. Loop. Well, let me try it from my Android. This is where I get the loop going, because it already has me signed in. And it's right here. I guess I do need to sign in. You didn't see that, can you? So it'd be like this, where each project from here, I'll add a link. I didn't really do that, you know. Each project gets its own Microsoft Loop link, and this is where you can coordinate people having their own team. They can do the progress. They can show what to work on, the stages. You can add different pages and everything, code, documentation, goals, whatever they need. And so they could share and invite people. And so that is where I'm heading towards for this at least the participate section, where you add your projects. And then the showcase, I would imagine it would have a way for people to see the documentation at least. Here is where you would invite people to the Microsoft Loop project, so people would create one in Microsoft Loop. So I'm still working on putting it all together, but it's starting to come together. It's just starting
Yeah,
to.
Brittany, you've made a lot of progress. I just wanted to give you a heads up. There are 4 minutes left, and I wondered if you wanted to take any questions. If not, you can just continue till 1 o'clock, which is in 4 minutes.
I'll just say a little bit more and then I'll take some questions.
Mhm.
But yeah, I got a new URL. I'll start adding more to the about, and then hopefully people can start participating, and I'll keep working on the navigation and everything as it goes along. But yeah, I still have trouble with being able to work on this project with all my other projects. So I could always still use the help on it. But I think I've been doing pretty well on my own. I probably could get it done eventually by March, as I put in my deadline. Okay, I can take some questions.
All right, thank you. Hello, Brittany. I can't come on screen and you can't come on screen, so I don't know if. Thank you, Allison.
Not a problem. We'll take your question. Mhm.
Thank you. My question is, are you going to have a space for, when you say projects, are you going to have a space for, and I'm not saying you need to, but for things like Mercy for Animals, DXE, Save Movement, the Plant-Based Treaty, the ones that we already know, or is this for new projects?
It's for everyone's project, but I
Wonderful.
do not want to limit anyone. Like this, once it starts opening up, then like right now, all the projects that I have to work on, those are holding me back from getting the website done. It's kind of a catch-22. So this is going to make it possible for like not just my projects where I send it out to the world and anyone could work on it. So then it just makes it easier for me to go from project to project, but anyone this is going to be possible for.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I think it's a wonderful vision and part of Planet B where we have a place where we can go find everything vegan. And tell us your title again.
It's a veganarian compendium. So
yeah, Veganarian Compendium. Thank you so much. I want to say, and I love the website design. I think it's going to be great.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of started kind of the idea because with the vegan hacktivists, they were working on all of their projects on their own and they were struggling to get anything done. So I said, why not just open it to the world where everyone else is getting their projects done, and then it speeds you up so then you can focus on what matters to you. So yeah, that's what the direction was, and they did that. It worked. Did anyone have another question in the minute we have?
Please raise your hand if you have a question for Brittany. No one else has raised their hand yet, Brittany. And so do you have a final comment before we close?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to add my contact info to the about page if someone needs to reach me for bringing this forward and trying to help out while I'm still trying to get some other projects done for the climate healers and myself. But outside that, it's moving along, and every time I see the project section for the this VCOP, the V planetary one, I'm going to work on the project then while I'm watching everyone else's presentation.
Brittany, we do have one question from Abraham Ort. Would you like to take his question?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Ort.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice project. it's very ambitious also to do it. So I would hope you can make it as simple as possible for people who are not so good in the technology like I am. Yeah. But it's a wonderful way to do it, to get people to know more about what is going on in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, I tried to make it simple where it's just 3 pages on the website, and each one is there's only 2 pages where it shows what needs help with, and then it's when it's finished. So they go back and forth. If someone needs to keep working on it, they do, and if they are done, they put in the showcase. Yeah.
Thank you,
And I
Dr.
follow the instructions to make it simple.
Okay, so thank you, Brittany. This has been a podcast from Planet B on Chapter 10 of There Is a Planet B, How Humans Belong in Nature. Please join us later this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern when we'll rebroadcast this same podcast, so you'll have time to invite and let other people know about it. And then please join us tomorrow for podcast number 11, Setting Context in Time. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us.
Thank you.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metaphorians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metaphorians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. No, a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise. This is your hour. Metafoodians unite. Metafoodians ignite. Sharing life.